Hello everyone, with the Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the Caribbean. It is Friday evening, January 6, 2023. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video, share it, subscribe and tap notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. Also feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section letting me know what the weather has been like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your area. I respond to all comments and I really live for this stuff. Alright, so let us refresh our memory on the various parishes across Jamaica according to their locations. So when we're referring to northern parishes in Jamaica, we're talking about those parishes such as Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary and Portland. When we're talking about southern parishes on the other hand, we know that we're talking about St. Thomas, Kingston and St. Andrew, St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth and Westmoreland. However, when we're talking about eastern, central and western parishes, we know that we're referring to the parishes across Jamaica according to their various counties. So eastern parishes refer to those parishes in the county of Surrey, which include St. Thomas, Portland, Kingston and St. Andrew. Central parishes refer to those parishes in the county of Middlesex, so St. Anne, St. Mary, St. Catherine, Clarendon and Manchester, while western parishes refer to those parishes in the county of Cornwall, which include St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James and Trelawney. So in the future, if you ever hear us talking about northern, southern, eastern, central and western parishes, these are what we're referring to. Alright, so let us take a look at the significant feature map across the Atlantic for this evening. We can still see that we have a high pressure ridge that's dominating the entire Atlantic region, sending all of that easterly wind across the Atlantic into the Caribbean. And we can also see a cold front right there that's affecting portions of the Bahamas and Cuba. And when we actually take a look at the satellite images, we can see that yes, the high pressure ridge is sending a lot of low level clouds with that easterly flow all the way into the Caribbean. And we can see some clouds right there, a line of clouds associated with that cold front affecting portions of the Bahamas and Cuba. We can also see a lot of moisture, some clouds left back from that trough from yesterday. But yes, we still receive some amount of rainfall across the island, because a forecast was made yesterday that we would have received some rainfall today, Friday. And what exactly happened? A post was made at 8:51 a.m. this morning stating that we have some clouds bringing rainfall to portions of eastern and northern Jamaica. And we even had a commenter commenting raining heavily in Ocho Rios, that's in the parish of St. Anne. And another post was made in the afternoon, 4:56 p.m, highlighting some amount of clouds bringing some amount of rainfall across portions of southern and eastern Jamaica. And when we actually take a look at the actual satellite images, we can see that yes, we had some build-up and thunderstorm clouds building up across portions of northern St. Andrew as well as portions of St. Elizabeth right there. And we can see that they are being streaked up to the southeast by that wind shear, that northwesterly wind shear as stated. So all of the, even on the infrared satellite, we can see the blues that represent the actual high level clouds, the actual thunderstorm clouds being blown off to the southeast just as predicted. We could even see some sparkling white dots right there in northern St. Andrew that signals some amount of lightning flashes as well. Let's take a look at the Doppler radar images for this evening. We can see that we have some amount of rainfall right there off the coast of St. Catherine. We can see some off the coast of St. Thomas and some off the coast of Westmoreland as well. And if we actually take a look at the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website, we can see that yes, the actual rainfall that took place, this is really what happened. So we got the rain on northern Jamaica and eastern Jamaica, then in the afternoon across mainly south central and southwestern Jamaica. A lot of rainfall, especially across portions of northwestern St. Elizabeth. Alright, so let us talk briefly about the temperatures right now. We can see that we have 25 degrees Celsius in Morant Bay, 25 degrees Celsius in Falmouth, the usual 21 degrees Celsius in Mandeville, and 24 degrees Celsius in Spanish Town. And if we actually pause the video right now, you can look for yourself to see if your specific, what the temperatures are like for your specific area. Alright, so let us start temperature forecast for tomorrow. On the Euro and the GFS, both models are in agreement that for Jamaica, right there on the bottom right hand of the screen. We're going to be receiving average temperatures. If we look at the key, the whites represent average temperatures. What are the average temperatures for the month of January across Jamaica? That's anywhere from 86 to 87 degrees Fahrenheit. And when we actually calculate it, 86 to 87 degrees Fahrenheit, that's actually 30 degrees Celsius. So the average temperatures are what we're expected to receive. According to the Saharan air layer map, all of the Saharan dust is right here off the coast of Africa. All of this red and yellow and orange that we see right here across the Caribbean, portion of the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico, all of that is dry air. We can see most of that dry air has been eroded by all of the cloud and the moisture that we have across portions of the Central Caribbean at this time. The actual Saharan dust forecast map though for 2 p.m. on Saturday is showing nothing across portions of Jamaica. We have nothing to worry about for the time being. Alright, so let's talk about the wind forecast across the island for tomorrow. So we can see more of a east-northeasterly flow across the island on the Euro model. The GFS model is showing something similar, more of an easterly flow across portions of southern Jamaica. So we can have anywhere from 10 to 20 knots across the island. And if we actually take a look, there might be a build-up of clouds where we have that blue. The blue represents the least amount of wind across the island. So wherever we have the blue, that's where we might have that afternoon convection. And the afternoon convection, if we actually have some strong thunder clouds, some cumulonimbus clouds in the afternoon, just like what we had today, is still going to be blown off to the southeast. So there's a bias on both the Euro and the GFS model that keeps most of the moisture across portions of southern Jamaica. So what is the actual precipitation prediction for tomorrow? So we can see that for 8 a.m. on Saturday, we're seeing some blues right there up the north coast, so portions of St. Anne, St. Mary and Portland. Not so much on the GFS, most of the blues are offshore, but either way we might see some of that coming inshore, affecting portions of northern Jamaica. Let's watch what happened with that. In the afternoon of it, however, we can see that we have more blues across most parishes, especially across portions of Manchester and St. Elizabeth right there. A lot of rainfall right there in millimeters. We shall see what happens. Do we have agreement at 2 p.m. on the GFS? We have some blues, but not as robust as on the Euro model for 2 p.m. Either way, we have some rainfall to receive tomorrow, and we know that when we have consensus like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. And if you actually take a look at the accumulated precipitation forecast for tomorrow, this map is showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 3Z on Sunday. When we calculate that, that's all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Saturday. And we can see that we might get up to 0.5 inches across portions of southwestern Jamaica, even portions of Kingston and St. Andrew getting in on some of that according to the Euro model. The GFS is not so robust on the Kingston and St. Andrew side, but portions of central and western Jamaica might get in on some of that heavier rainfall. So prepare yourself for that and try to get your laundry done early. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let's go back to the rest of the Caribbean. So yes, we have a lot of easterly low level flow bringing a lot of rainfall. If you actually take a look at the Doppler radar images across the Caribbean for this evening, we can see some amount of greens across portions of the northeastern Caribbean. So as usual, rainfall across portions of Puerto Rico, especially northern Puerto Rico at this time. If you actually put these Doppler radar images into motion, we know that the green represents light to moderate rainfall, while the yellows on the reds represent actually heavy or strong rainfall. So we can see some amount of rainfall affecting portions of Guadeloupe, St. John's, portions of the US and British Virgin Islands, portions of Eastern Dominican Republic as well. If you actually take a look at the Barbados radar now, we can see some isolated scattered showers across portions of the region, affecting portions of St. Vincent, portions of, what is that? That's about Grenada right there. Some of it affecting portions of Barbados as well. Even portions of St. Lucia getting in on some of the rainfall as well. If you actually take a look at the wider view of Doppler radar images, we can see a lot of moisture associated with some rainfall to the north of the ABC Islands right there. maybe Curacao getting in on some amount of rainfall as well. You can also see some greens that represent some rainfall affecting portions of Guyana, Suriname, and French Guyana as well. You can also see some rainfall coming into portions of Honduras as well. Alright, so if we actually take a look at the Saharan dust forecast for tomorrow for the Eastern Caribbean especially, we can see a lot of browns that represent some Saharan dust across portions of French Guyana, portions of Venezuela, portions of Guyana and Suriname, even portions of Trinidad and Tobago, Grenada, Barbados might get in on some of that. So you might see some amount of hazy skies across the southeastern Caribbean, mainly the windward islands, not so much the central and western Caribbean. If we actually look at the wind forecast across the region for tomorrow, for the most part an easterly flow across the entire Atlantic region on both the Euro and the GFS model, anywhere from 10 to let's say up to 25 knots the most. If you actually take a look at the accumulated precipitation forecast on the Euro, this map is showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Saturday. So we can see that we're expecting up to 1 inch of rainfall across portions of Honduras and Nicaragua, portions of the northeastern section of the Dominican Republic, portions of Puerto Rico, portions of the Leeward Islands including Anguilla, St. Martin, St. Kitts and Nevis, the US and the British Virgin Islands as well. Look at the Southern Caribbean now. Portions of Trinidad and Tobago might get in on some of the rainfall, almost 1 inch of rainfall, as well as sections of Venezuela and Colombia. Do we have agreement on the GFS model? The GFS model is showing some amount of rainfall across portions of the same areas of Puerto Rico, the US and British Virgin Islands, St. Kitts and Nevis, Trinidad and Tobago, portions of Grenada, sections of Honduras and Nicaragua and Colombia might get in on some of that rainfall as well. If you actually take a look at the western portion of the basin, which include portions of Belize and Honduras, we might get in on some of that rainfall as well, up to 1 inch on the Euro model. The GFS is showing something similar, and we know that when we have consensus like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.